Hello YouTube, I'm here from Blue Needle Studios and today I'm going to be giving you another Photoshop tutorial telling you all about selections. So selections play a huge role in Photoshop and it's something that if you master it'll be really handy for all the time that you're ever going to use Photoshop. So I'm going to be really drilling into it today. So the first thing that I want to show you is the different selection tools down here. So here, this will normally be on the rectangular marquee tool. So we can select rectangles, we can select circles, and we can also select single rows or columns of pixels. I'll talk more about these two later, but I'm going to be talking more about these now. And then there's also this one where you have the lasso tool, so just freehand selecting, the polygonal, so you press a point and then another point, and the magnetic, which follows different lines. Then we've also got the magic wand tool and the quick selection tool. So another thing I want to show is the selection menu. So if we come into select, we've basically just got a few different options. We can refine masks, we can modify things, we can select by color range, which is great for green screening, and yeah. So jumping right into it, I'm going to just come into this layer here of this country, the small one on the top right. Or actually I might just come into this one here, the big left one. And then I'm going to find this rectangle selection tool, and then up here we can choose a few different things. We can choose the style, the fixed size, it stays at a certain size, the fixed ratio, it means that it will always be an exact square, whereas if you have it just on normal, then you can make it a rectangle in any way that you want. So you can also set what's called a feather, which basically means that it will fade off. So I just want to demonstrate here. If I set a feather of 5 pixels, then I come into here. Now one really handy feature to use when selecting is to do what's called inverse selection. So if you want to delete everything apart from this, then you can either come into part of the selection, right hand click and press select inverse, or you can come into select and press inverse, or my favorite way is to press Command Shift I. And now you can see that this outline border has been selected because now it isn't this that's selected, it's all of this around it. So if we press delete, hang on, I was in the wrong layer there. Now so you need to make sure that you are in the right layer. Now if we press delete, then you can see that this bit has stayed and there's a nice feather. So that's one little tip with selecting. So the deselect is super handy as well. You can do it either by, I don't know what happened there. If you're in your selection, you can right hand click and then press deselect. Or if you're in it, you can also press Command D. Or you can come into select and then deselect. So there's basically those 3 ways of controlling selections for a lot of the different things that you can do. So we'll put our feather back to 0. And then we're going to try to come into the circle selection. So the circle selection behaves pretty much exactly like the square, except obviously it's a different shape. You can set the feather the same way, all of these options are the same. Just to show you, if I come in here, maybe if I don't inverse it this time, then I press delete. Again in the wrong shape, then I can press delete and that will be gone. And since we've got layer styles with shadows, then the shadows will apply for that missing bit too. So I'm just going to undo that. And so now I've shown you this and this. Now the single row marquee tool is the same as the column really, so I'm not going to show you the column. It basically just allows you to select a single row of pixels. So you can change this around. If we wanted it here and press delete, then you can see that what it's going to do is just put a tiny little slit through our object. I don't really know what this would be used for, but it's great to have any features in Photoshop. I'm sure that you'll use it at some point. So I'm going to bring it back to the rectangular, the most common, and then move on to the next one. Now this will automatically be on the lasso tool. And again, we've got the same options for feather. And what the lasso tool does is allows you to freehand select. So I can come in here, click and hold, and then I can drag around. So if I wanted to select in a P shape for some reason, then I can do this, and then once we see a little circle, it means that our selection is complete. But that's only in some of the other selection options. And so now that we've got our little P sort of shape selected, we can of course press delete and it will go like this. Or of course we can also invert it and delete everything else to make it into a P shape. And so that's basically all you need to know about lasso. Another thing is that, say if you've done this, if you've got this done but you haven't finished your selection and you let go, then it's going to complete it in the quickest way possible. So if I let go now, then it's just drawn a straight line to get to the other point in the shortest distance possible. And so then if we click and hold on this, we've got the Polygonal Lasso tool, and this one can be really handy. Now, what this allows you to do is select things based on points. So that's how I made these countries. I brought in a Google Images photo of the Earth, and then I used the Polygonal Lasso tool to select things. So for instance, I can come here and then here, and so every time I click to make a point, and then I can make the next one. So this was really handy for creating this, and you can use it heaps. One super handy trick with this, so say if we click, 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 if you have to make sure that you finish it, and you can see that by having this little circle there. So now we've completed our selection, and so we can just unselect that. But one really handy thing is if you've done this and you've made a problem and you want to get out of it, then you can press the escape button on your keyboard and it will get ready for you to make a new selection, which is super handy. And so the last one is the magnetic lasso tool. Now this one's really pretty cool. It basically allows you to follow lines. So if we click and hold, it's going to follow this green line. Now this green line is really quite easy to follow. Even if I come out here, you can see that the string, I guess, is following it pretty well. It may get stuck on the shadow at some point. See, if I come around here, it's going to get confused. If I come around the Earth, it's doing pretty well. But in proper photos, which aren't just solid colors, it is a little harder to get good selections, but it's still a super handy tool. And so again, we've got the feather, we've got the frequency, which changes how many colors it responds to. And then in here we've got the magic wand tool, which allows us to select things based on color tolerance. So if we click in here, then it's going to select this color. If we increase the tolerance, if we had this on the maximum, which I think is 255, let's see what happens if we go over that. Yep, the max is 255. So if we click on this with 255, then it's still going to do that. Or if we click on the Earth, it can select all sorts of things. So this is really handy, and you really need to fiddle around with the tolerance for the best results. And then we've also got the quick selection tool. I won't go into this one too much today, but it's kind of an advanced way to select things. So if I can just paint over here, you can basically paint over all sorts of things to get a selection. So if I come into here, this is a little outro picture I made for a friend. It's not the kind of style I usually do, but he really liked this, so if he's happy, I'm happy. So we can try this in here. If we come through here, and we can see that it's not really working very well because it's not exactly solid colors. But if we just kind of paint around up to the edge, and you can see that it's stopping at the glow, so it's doing quite a good job. And then we could bring this in with a screen effect. So it's really quite advanced, all of the selection tools. And the last few things I'm going to show you are in the select menu. So really the only thing you want to look at is color range. So this is another selection tool really. What you can do is just click on any color. If you want to select another color as well, you can click on another, and then those colors will be selected. You can change the range of colors that will be selected with this fuzziness slider, and then you press OK and they'll be selected. So I can delete them, and it will delete this, except I was in the wrong layer. So if I come into, where's my text? If I come into this and delete it, then I can't because it's not an editable layer. So I'll just come in and do this, and then I can delete it. And so thanks for watching this video. I hope that you've learned a lot about selecting, and I'll see you later. Bye.